Thanks for joining us for Elko Live today. So pleased to feature, as we do on Tuesday, it's time for an update in city news and getting right back into the new year, of course, with our city manager, Jan Baum, and the first meeting, I guess the first official meeting. You had your swearing in for Councilwoman Lostra.
Yes, we had that on the 6th, and actually Councilperson Lostra as well as Claire Morris. So,
yes, that's right,
both
not
of them
to
got sworn in on that day, and now we're off to the races, and you're right, this is our first official meeting of the year. And it's late in January, being on the 14th, so it was quite a few weeks between meetings, so definitely it'll be good to get back into action.
A lot to catch up on, and we might as well start with the RDA, Redevelopment Agency meeting. The RDA is essentially the city council, but wearing different hats for this certain segment of the meeting that opens at 3 o'clock today, Jan. And maybe we can just kind of look over some of the bigger items on that agenda.
Absolutely. And I apologize. I told you when I got here, I forgot to bring that agenda, but for sure, no, we can definitely go through it. And I think there's a couple items on there for the storefront property, which we're always storefront grant, and we're always happy to extend the storefront grant because it just makes our downtown area look so much get rid of blight, and it just really dresses it up.
It really does encourage investment by the private property owners. It's a matching grant. You do have to qualify, and there is oversight and accountability. So, and this is money that's accrued through the General Improvement District. So, and it also, when it enhances that property storefront, it enhances the valuation of the property, Jan, so it generates more money for the future. It just keeps on giving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It increases the value of that property, which in turn produces, theoretically additional property tax. But it also, what we've found is as businesses do the storefront, it appears that usually the neighbor wants to do it, and then the next neighbor, and it kind of takes way that way. And so it really is helpful for our downtown.
So on the consent agenda for the RDA today will be accepting the conditions and releasing since the property owner complied with all the requirements. And it's a matching grant, and Jan, does it go up to $25,000? Am I recalling that correctly?
I believe so.
Okay.
So I believe it can go up to that amount, and
that's a healthy balance.
Absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And to accompany that, although not on the agenda today, there's also a companion piece in that infrastructure grant, also administered by the city, and that can help with some of these older buildings and their ADA requirements.
Absolutely, bringing them up to code, and you're right. Sometimes those ADA requirements can be very spendy, and so I believe that one is 75,000. I'm so sorry. I feel unprepared, but
it is
anyway.
A new year for all of us, Jan. You are not unprepared.
So, but anyway, yes, the infrastructure grant is very helpful as well, and we haven't had a lot of those. I feel like it kind of got a slow start, but I believe again it's probably like the storefront. Once people get wind of that and how it works, hopefully they'll take advantage of it, because that's what it's there for. It's there for our downtown businesses to help them get their buildings up to date, and if they have to do a remodel or something, a lot of times you have to get that ADA, meet the ADA requirements, and that can be expensive.
Definitely, but it does enhance the value again of the property and the use of the building, and we need more of that with some of those beautiful older buildings in downtown, so we can preserve that. That's definitely a great idea. So that's RDA under consent agenda, talking about those storefront grants, the infrastructure. I know when Kathy Laughlin, she'll be on sometime this month or even in February, I think, Jan, and then we will look forward to, she has so much information and so much enthusiasm, and she'll bring us up to date, because there's going to be a lot of exciting things on the agenda.
Absolutely, and she has so much detail on what exactly the projects are bringing to the downtown area, and what she visits with the owners of the properties, of course, so she has a lot more detail. And then, of course, the other item on the agenda is the sidewalk project, so hopefully we'll get that out to bid here shortly, and see how that comes in. We put that out to bid already once in 2024, and the bids came back higher than we had anticipated. And so, and of course, the RDA has a pretty tight bid budget. So with the amount that the bids came in over budget, that just wasn't something that we could accommodate. And so, hoping that when this goes back out to bid, that we'll be able to move forward with it.
The sidewalk project, it's probably over $1 million. I think that's realistic, right?
Absolutely.
1.3 or something,
yes,
I think.
1.2, 1.3.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a huge improvement. It takes care of some of those real problem areas in the corridor, and it's been coming for a long time. And so fingers crossed that the bids will come back. And as you said, maybe they had to dial back some of the planned improvements, but we'll hear that at the meeting today, right?
Absolutely. And yes, so that sidewalk project not only includes the sidewalk, but it also has some sewer infrastructure, some water infrastructure, and in the streets, I believe, right there. So it's a huge project, and I'm sure it'll be complicated. I guess there's a lot of older infrastructure under some of those buildings and under the sidewalks, and so they'll have to accommodate for a lot of that when they dig up the sidewalks. And Kathy had a great plan to include the business owners and make sure that they are aware of the process, because it will impact them for as long as the construction is going on in front of their business. So she'll be driving that for sure.
Cool. We will definitely be checking in and keeping an eye on for the RDA meeting that opens at 3 today to see how those bids come in. Again, fingers crossed, especially if you're a downtown business owner. They're in for some exciting changes too, Jan. I know we were both at Government Affairs at the Chamber yesterday, and the Chamber is just super excited about absorbing the DBA special events so that those will continue.
Absolutely. And obviously those happen downtown in the RDA area as well. And those are fun events. And I'm really excited for Billy and her team. They'll do an amazing job. They do great events already. They know how to do events. And so I'm hoping it'll be pretty seamless. The DBA did a good job. But I think that Billy will do, and her whole team, she has a great staff. And I believe they'll do a great job as well, and who knows what they'll create, so it'll be fun.
She's coming on the radio Thursday, and so we're going to let her detail, but I know that she did promise there'd be select wine walks, ghost tours, and Snowflake Festival. Those are priorities for the Chamber for the downtown. So
which is great.
Which is super
that's
cool.
Great.
Then there's also an agenda item for RDA today. This is something new for the city of Elko. It's just a consideration, and it is up for possible action and whether the city might lease some artwork. I believe this is a sculptor from the Sparks area and has submitted some artwork for during the Cowboy Poetry Gathering this year. And so it is just a proposal, but leasing 2 metal horse sculptures for about 6 months, and the cost would be about $10,000.
Right. So I know that the Western Folk Life Center reached out to Kathy. It's been months ago, but anyway, they were wanting some art on the block ends. So when they designed those block ends on the corridor, it does have a little space for some artwork. And so I believe they wanted something that complemented, obviously, the cowboy poetry. And I believe this is one of the options that they came back with. And so I guess it'll be there, like you said, about 6 months, and the artwork would be leased, and then it would go back.
All right. So there'll be some discussion on that. The artwork is extraordinary. I mean, you can go online and see the pictures. There's an articulated horse and then some, really amazing like Pegasus type horses that, again, we should find out more. This would be the first time, but I know Elko has considered getting some more sculpture for downtown to complement. And as you said, we still have to construct pedestals. So that's a work in progress for Art and Culture Advisory Board, right, Jan?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's most definitely something that they could take up if they were interested. And like we said, the block ends were made for some kind of art or something on those block ends. And so if this is what they choose to do, then they'll go forward with that.
All right. And art is like everything else. It has to be paid for. So there.
Right. I know it is. It can be expensive, but they're very talented and should be paid for their services for sure.
Extraordinary and enduring works of art. So that'll be up for discussion when the RDA meets at 3. And then that folds right into the regular city council meeting that begins at 4 o'clock today, Jan. And there's some hefty lifting on this agenda as well, as you explained during the Government Affairs Committee meeting yesterday. Let's see, what should we start with? Oh, maybe the police auxiliary building? Is that?
Oh, sure. Yes. So the police auxiliary building, it's a building right behind the police station. And this building mainly would be for storage for some of the larger equipment that the police use. And there's a possibility, they have a storage shed type building at the airport. And that building has a possibility of having to be moved because the FAA said it's in some of the safety zone there. So that's what kind of spurred this. And then they've also gotten some larger equipment like the Teradyne, and it needs a place to be as well. So we have a auxiliary building that we've been looking at and has been designed. And we put that out to bid, and the bids came back, quite a bit more than our budget or what we anticipated. And so the bids ranged from about 1.5 million, over 1.5 million, to over 1.8 million. And so our budget was 1.3 million. So it's quite a bit over. So what we are going to, what staff, I should say, will likely recommend to council is that we reject all bids and take another look at the project. Just out of the public interest, we need to look at the project to make sure that if we need to increase the budget in the next fiscal year, then that's what we need to do. But if we can make some engineering changes and cut some costs, that might be a good idea as well. So we'd like council to reject those bids and bring it back.
All right, Jan. I didn't mean to gloss over, because here's an important update for anyone following the saga of the Elko Inn, which has been declared a public nuisance there at 8th and Idaho Streets.
Correct.
We're going to get a formal update today.
Yes. So Michael Hanley and Dave Stanton, the city legal team, will be giving an update to council on, kind of where the Elko Inn is in the process. And it's been pretty quiet lately. And so we just figured it was time to give the public and council an update. So we'll be doing that this afternoon in the presentations. And it's a non-action item. If council decides they would like it on a future agenda for action, we can definitely do that. But for now, it'll be a non-action item. And then the next item under personnel is Mandy Simons was always our mayor pro tem. So we will be council will be electing a mayor pro tem for the calendar year, I guess I should say, of 2025.
Elko City Mayor Reese Keener usually has a lot of influence in that. You need a strong person who can run those meetings, and I think Mandy probably holds the record for getting those meetings done in very short order and being very thorough. And
Absolutely, she was thorough, but she didn't lollygag. Maybe
Exactly.
That's the word. So she did a good job of keeping us on task and keeping the meetings moving, and she did a good job at it, and we'll definitely miss her, but I look forward to see who will take her place.
Oh, great. So that'll be up for discussion too as well. And then just to referring to the Elko Inn, it's a blighted property right now. It has been declared public nuisance, but at least there is no apparent criminal activity going on, and that's what had most concerned citizens. But we know the community does not tolerate having a piece of prime property like that, a boarded up building on Main Idaho Street. So
absolutely, it's very unfortunate, and that the building is, like you said, blighted the way it is, and it looks terrible, quite honestly. But when we initially declared the nuisance, you are right. It was a public safety concern, a definite public safety concern. And that has diminished, I would say. We ask the police chief on occasion, what are the number of calls at that property, and if there are problems with law enforcement right now or in recently, and that has definitely diminished. And so thank heavens for that. And but it would be nice to see the building, something done with the building, because there's a lot of history there, and you talk to a lot of people that have lived here for a long time, and there's just a lot of history there. And so it's unfortunate that the property is diminishing the way it is.
So something we'll keep tabs on, and again, will be discussed near the top of the agenda when the council meets in regular session today at 4. Thank you, Jan. Jan Baum is our city manager. And it is important to note that private property rights prevail in this community as well as in the state. So
absolutely, there is a constitutional right there for people who own own property, and there's a fine line there between too much, pushback on what people use their land for or their buildings, and but also trying to keep the public interest,
Sure.
at the forefront.
Yeah, you've got to balance those interests, definitely, and fit within the ordinances, and the safety and health concerns are what are paramount. And then moving on to, we do know that going out to bid for the 12th Street Bridge Maintenance Repair Project, that's a great thing. We need to maintain those bridges. But we do know from experience that it will be very inconvenient when it's being done. So again, lots of communication on this one.
Yes, absolutely. So there's already a little anxiety with this project, and we're hoping to minimize the impact to traffic as much as we can. I've visited with Scott Wilkinson, quite a bit about this project, and we believe that we can keep 2 lanes of traffic open most of the time with this 12th Street bridge repair. There are 2 bridges there, and we would like to do both at the same time so we can just have the impact, once rather than twice. And there will be a time when we're doing different, either putting in joints in the middle of the bridge or maybe overlay, but that when the entire bridge will have to be closed down. We're hoping to do that either in the night or on a weekend, so that we don't impact traffic too much, because there's just a lot of traffic that comes over that road. So
we do know that these repairs are necessary. Again, these are major arteries, and I think people can anticipate being inconvenienced, maybe if they know the duration. Any idea how long?
I believe he thought that we could have this done, if we started it this spring, we'd have it done by June 30th. And so probably, I would say, about 3 months. And but like I said, we will, we'll really try to decrease the impact to the public as much as possible, for sure.
Yeah, and keeping in mind all the various special events. Again, just lots of communication, as you said. We know Silver State Stampede announced during the Fair Board meeting last week. They're moving from July to June.
I want to say around the 20th, I believe.
I think it's like the 19th or the 22nd.
21st, 22nd,
Yeah.
I believe so. So, yes, that's a big move for the Silver State Stampede. And it'll just shift, our summer for the city of Elko, and I guess for our whole community. We all kind of get in a rhythm and a routine, and so it'll just make us all pay attention, I guess, a little bit better.
But I guess this should make it even a bigger, better rodeo, if it could possibly be, because this way they can attract the top 10 rodeo champions of the world with this kind of timing.
Right, which is amazing. It sounds like it with the way the rodeos are scheduled, and the circuit puts us right in the middle, and with rodeos around us. And so I think that it'll be a positive change. It'll be change, and so sometimes change is difficult, but we'll all get through that. And I thought that it seems like during GAC maybe they said they would move a different event to
Beer
July.
Festival.
The beer festival.
Yes,
That
Chamber of
was
Commerce.
it.
Yes.
So Well, it'll just shift our summer activities a little.
Yep, but they'll still be there, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
So I would say if you're planning something like a wedding, make sure you schedule. Yeah.
June 20th, which I would think, or 22nd, whatever day it is. But I would think that would be a busy, busy weekend.
Definitely. Also under unfinished business, I have to say, perusing the photos, the latest photos from Shady Elms Mobile Home Park, wow, what a breath of literal fresh air. Jan, it looks like huge improvements have been made there.
They really absolutely did make some huge improvements. That property was never officially declared a nuisance by the city council, but they were pretty stern on the fact that they wanted it cleaned up. And, there was some public safety concerns at that property as well. And yes, they had a lot of RVs and mobile homes that were abandoned, and it just looked terrible. And they've done a really great job at cleaning up that property. So I'm hopeful, I'm not sure, but I'm hopeful this will be our last update.
So that's on the agenda. And if there were such a thing, it would be so nice to give the neighbors, the neighborhood, all the people that were persistent, yet, they were firm. I don't think nobody ever appeared unprofessional at these meetings. I don't know how they managed to contain what they were going through, because there were so many unsafe conditions, because they have children in the neighborhood. But Jan, boy, if they could get a medal or even a picnic, that was nice. I mean,
yes, you're right. They did do a nice job of expressing their concerns, but remaining professional. And so it was a good process to go through. I mean, it's unfortunate you have to go through it, but it was a good process.
So hopefully, as you said, it draws to an end today. Council meets at 3 o'clock for RDA, followed by the regular city council meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then under new business, let's see, probably the thing that means the most is maybe some more FAA infrastructure grants, because we need these. We rely on these to improve the terminal safety, the runways, and all the areas that keep our airport in compliance so that we can fly these bigger aircraft in and out.
Absolutely. So the airport usually gets FAA AIP grants, but these are a little bit different. They're AIG grants, which are airport infrastructure grants, and they came with the bipartisan infrastructure law that passed a couple of years ago. And so these are a little bit different grants, but I think they're pretty similar. And there's still a 93.75% federal match, and so the city has to come up with 6.25% of the projects. And the three projects that Jim Foster has on the agenda are phase 2 of the focus planning study, the runway safety area improvements, and improve the terminal sidewalks. And I'm personally very excited to see the terminal sidewalks get redone. The cement on those sidewalks has been crumbling, and it's definitely, could become a safety concern. And it just when passengers come to the airport, it would just really look nice if we could have those sidewalks finished. So I'm excited about that. And then the focus planning study phase 2, we went through phase 1. It took a couple of years. It was pretty detailed, and that focus planning study was on the runway safety area and if there were objects within the safety area, etc. And that's part of what we were talking about with the bomb squad building or storage building. But anyway, so the FAA came back after phase 1 and said that they would like to have a phase 2. So we're going forward with that. And then the runway safety area, this change or improvement came through the focus planning study phase 1. And there are some items that are in the runway safety area that we could work on getting removed. And so this grant for the $350,000 will help us get towards that.
And it's more than $1 million in federal money being directed this way. It's important to have this relationship. The city would be really stretch to try to fund any of this ourselves. It would probably
Absolutely.
be impossible. So, yeah.
Absolutely impossible. And that's the one thing about having a commercial airline and having a commercial airport is you do get a lot of the commercial or the FAA grant funding. And like I said, those grants come in at the match is 93.75%. And this spring, actually, we will be starting our ramp project at the airport, and that is a $5 million project. And of course, the FAA will fund 93.75% of that. And so that will be going on this spring as well. That'll be another big project that we're working on.
Jan Baum also gave some exciting news at the Government Affairs Committee meeting as she talked about the return of a very popular event. It had been grounded for a while, but it looks like Sky Fair might be coming back in September.
Yes, so Jim Foster has been updating us on that, and actually today at the director meeting he was talking about that, and Billy Crapo was talking about that as well, and so they're hoping to be part of that at the chamber, and I believe it'll be probably the middle of September, and it's not a air race type thing. Most of the activities all of the activities are on the ground, but it's a great way to get exposure to the airport. And darn it, I didn't write down, but I believe they said that they could have a B-17 and a B-25 there. So anyway, Jim Foster is really excited about getting the Sky Fair back and having an activity at the airport. So I'm excited to get people out to the airport.
Yeah, we have a gorgeous terminal. This would be on the general aviation side, but a lot of enthusiastic pilots. I mean, we have a very active local community for general aviation pilots, and we have Young Eagles, I think the experimental aircraft. We have the Civil Air Patrol. They brought skydivers in the past. I mean, there are all kinds of opportunities to showcase some really cool aviation-related activities that have and Elko is on the map at the Smithsonian for our history at the airport. So Amelia Earhart stopped in Elko. I mean, we have an amazing history. So this is just so cool that they're bringing back Sky Fair. And I think the tentative date, as you said, was like September 13th. So if anybody wants to start making plans, help out Jim Foster and the committee. I believe Chad at El Arrow is also helping to spearhead this. So.
Oh, absolutely. Most definitely. I believe I heard his name as well.
So that's exciting. Thanks, Jan, for letting us know, because, again, such a popular event, and it will be fun to be able to host that again.
Absolutely.
And then we have a bunch of, as we get close to closing out our program today and heading to the meeting, a bunch of subdivisions and things like that, right?
There are some. There's a possible approval of the tentative map for Copper Trails. I believe it's phase 3, yes. And so that's a great little subdivision. And then Cedar Estates phase 3, and then also Bergeron Village. So nice to get those subdivisions finished up, and I'm excited to see some building on those subdivisions.
And it's always nice when we get newer homes constructed. I know sometimes people say, well, it's not exactly affordable, but what tends to happen is that maybe people who have been situated in some of the Tree Street homes or other areas of the community, they've been investing, they can afford to build a bigger home or move into something that's newer, and then they will leave a vacancy of maybe a home that's not quite as valuable, but maybe more affordable.
Absolutely, right? That's kind of the cycle that we like to see, right? So some of our younger people who need the more affordable homes, it's good for those things to cycle through, for sure.
Well, if anything else that's on the agenda, Jan, that you want to make sure you mention, I know we get together weekly, and the new year is going to include some new guests from the city, and I just want to encourage all of you, because I know that a lot of city employees will tend to listen, because they'll tell me later and say, well, this is what we're actually doing, and now it's your chance to come on the program and talk about the things that you're most passionate about on behalf of the city.
Absolutely. Those are the people that should, come and inform the public on what is going on and what they're doing. And so we've been talking to our leadership team a lot about that, and hopefully we'll get you some, a calendar and get some of our managers on here to explain what they're doing and what's going on. And I believe that next week we may have Annette Robinson, our city clerk, come and do some education on business licenses and maybe pets and how the code applies to different pets within the city.
That's right. Limits on pets, licensing on pets. Oh, she's great. That's fantastic. What a good idea. So, yeah. And so on this Tuesday, January 14th, just a couple of reminders. The Great Basin College Town Hall is tonight on campus in the solarium. I know it doesn't exactly coincide with council, but if you want to pop on over, it starts at 5 and goes till 6:30 in the solarium, and you'll get an update on college happenings as well as some envisioning for the future. Dr. Amber Dinelli will be delivering sort of a keynote, if you will, or state of the college address. That'll be really fun. The advisory board to manage wildlife, they have a committee on contests, wildlife contests, and that's been an issue throughout the state. They also meet at the college campus at 5:30, and they're going to be meeting in GTA room 130. And let's see if there's another meeting. Oh, tomorrow the Fair Board has a special meeting, and their meeting is going to be via Zoom, and that will be, you can go online at the county website to get details on that. But they are considering a lawsuit, obtaining legal counsel for the activity during the livestock show and sale over that meat processing. So big discussion there for the Fair Board tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yes. But in the meantime, business as usual with the city of Elko.
Yes, here we go. We're going to kick off with our meeting today, RDA at 3 o'clock and the city council at 4.
Thanks so much, Jan. Jan Baum is our Elko city manager. Thank you for listening to Elko Live today here on KELK.